Well, I officially cannot watch that many drum corps shows in a row in one sitting.
Yeah, dude, it's way more fun to just sit at home and watch them on Flow and grill out and eat some food and have some drink than sitting in the stadium seat for however many hours that we were there on semifinals night.
We weren't even there that long semifinal.
No, we just watched the top 9.
We only watched the top 9 semifinals night in the stadium. We had pretty good seats too. Like it's on the 40, like pretty high up, so we could see everything and hear everything really well.
Yeah, we were in the middle.
Yep. And I looked at you at one point. I think a friend of ours was sitting with us too. I was like, man, how did we do 15 groups last year for semis?
Well, I looked over and you were like yawning. I was like, tired, and you're like, I'm bored. And we watched 3 shows.
I can't do it.
Dude, yeah, it's
so samey. Like every drum corps show is different, but at the end of the day, like it's just a drum corps show.
Yeah, you're just trying to soak it all in, but it's mentally taxing. It's enjoyable. Like I was like, all right, there's a lot of great stuff happening, but
yeah. But at the same time, I was like, I could really use like watch 2 shows, go do something else for 45 minutes, come back, watch 2 more shows.
And it's probably different outside, but like inside the stadium, like where we were, you can hear it better on the stream.
Yeah, probably. I would say that's probably the case.
If you're outside, I mean, there's no way. It's completely different in person, but yeah. And I'm sure if we were a little bit lower, it would have been different, but
yeah.
Those tickets are expensive.
Yes, they are. But so before we go any further, welcome everyone to the Aged Out Podcast with your hosts Mike Fantini
and Evan Worrell. And
before we move forward, I want to give you an update on the podcast services we're trying to get this put on.
What?
Yeah, right. Finally got the ball rolling on that. We're officially on Podbean. Podbean, Bean. If you don't know what that is, it's a podcast listening service that you can download the app on your phone. That way you no longer have to have YouTube up on your phone or computer screen to listen to this. You can just turn your phone screen off after you play it like you're listening to music on Spotify or something on your phone. That's pretty cool. But then we're also still in the process of getting approval and everything for iTunes. There's apparently like a glitch in the system that a lot of people are experiencing when making podcast submissions where it just keeps kicking. Every time you hit submit, it just keeps kicking you back to the login screen.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I got to try again soon or just to call Apple and sit on the phone with them and see if they have a solution figured out at this point. But
sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's going to be annoying. Hopefully it just fixes itself. But we'll try again this week and see what we can get with that. And then on top of that, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. Like us on Facebook. All of it, just look up Aged Out Podcast.
And post a few videos of our lots. We didn't record them all, but I recorded some.
Took less videos this year than we did last year at DCI Finals.
Just kind of wanted to soak them all in.
Yeah, this year overall was a much better marching percussion year than last year.
Oh yeah, like every lot you were going to, I felt like
stuff.
You would go from group, then they'd be playing well, and you go to the next group and they'd be playing well, and you go to the next group. I was like, wow, man, this is awesome.
It's like we predicted in the early season. It wasn't really a dogfight because Vanguard kind of separated themselves, and I kind of agree with that.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
From an entire percussion package, but it was splitting hairs. Like I do not envy the jobs of DCI percussion judges this year because so many groups were so good. And don't let me forget, when we get to talking about how Vanguard won drums, I want to talk about their sustained dominance in this realm at some point. I don't want to forget to do that.
So semifinals, we went in, watched the shows, got to soak in the whole production. Kind of got to see people playing on the move, which some people you could hear. I don't know if that's just tuning or just clarity or cutting.
I think it's all of the above.
Some of people you could hear really well, and some you could hear okay. And then finals day, we just got to roam the lot and see everybody up close and personal.
Yeah, it was a good time. But there was something I noticed. A lot of groups almost, and I don't know if this was tuning and just being farther away, but some groups I noticed I thought were cleaner on the move than they were standing still in the lot. And obviously, I had to pick one. You want to be better on the move because that's what you're getting judged on. But that's usually rare to see that. And I've heard people say it in the past. This group's better on the move, and I've always been skeptical. It's like
it's real hard to say too, just because when you're up close and personal, you can really nitpick.
Oh yeah.
Which was the case with a couple groups for sure, and versus like hearing them far away, some of those ticks that you hear up close, they just don't. They just don't come out. Yeah.
No, you just don't hear them.
You're not going to hear that from our vantage point in the stadium or in the audience. The
No.
judge might, but maybe I can see if I can get a hold of those tapes.
Yeah, we already heard Crown's semifinals tape, which was immaculate.
I listened to their finals tape too.
You
It
did?
was really good.
Jeez,
It was really good. He called like 2 ticks,
that's how semifinals was
and
too.
like one was in like the pit or something.
Jeez, third place, but
Anyway, well, you want to talk about who we saw now?
yeah, sure. Let's
You
go
want to
down.
use the finish, how they finished in order, or how they finished in drum order?
Let's do drum order.
Because in this, we'll use the finals recap because I think there was a little bit of shifting on some of the other days, like 4-5 flip flop or 10-11 flip flop or things like that. But 12th place in drums, making their first final appearance in core history, was the Mandarins, and that's awesome.
That's really good for them. I got them mixed up with the Academy at one point this weekend. Both those West Coast groups, like, because I know the Academy, I think, made finals for the first time like 2 years ago or something.
Maybe.
And I was like,
I'm not sure on that, but that
I thought it was.
right.
I was getting confused, and it's really good for that core. We watched them in the lot on semis day a little bit, and again on finals day. They were solid.
They had a fun vibe, man. They were playing. It was an interesting book. It was very musical, and there's a lot of space. I dug it.
Yeah.
They made finals for the first time, and even passed Phantom on finals night. Ended up in 10, which...
Jeez, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Probably not great for Phantom,
When we get
but
to
good for
Phantom,
Mandarins.
We'll talk about that, but I wasn't a huge fan of the snare drum tuning.
They were on those Mapex drums, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just...
Most of the groups on Mapex I wasn't a fan of.
well, yeah.
Of the tuning.
Yeah,
not the playing.
yeah. The playing can be fine, but yeah. So Mandarins was cool to see. I wasn't
They
super...
had a more they had a challenging book. We'll kind of use this to leapfrog, but I think Mandarin's book was definitely like one of the harder between like the bottom two there, them and Crossman in finals.
Oh yeah, Mandarin's book
But Mandarins
was way
gave
harder.
up way more ticks.
Correct.
Yeah.
Crossman ticked less, but their book was way easier.
Which Crossman was 11th.
That's probably accurate. I mean,
Yeah.
you could make an argument that Crossman should have beaten Phantom in percussion because Phantom was 10th, right?
Yeah, Phantom was 10th. Crossman was cleaner than Phantom for sure.
Yes, but it had to just be content.
Well, let's see here. Actually, Phantom was 9th in drums, which
Who was 10th?
Blue Stars were 10th.
Oh, well,
Which Phantom and Blue Stars both beat Crossman in content, but Crossman beat Blue Stars in achievement.
yeah. So I mean,
all right.
I don't believe that Phantom was cleaner than Crossman on the field.
I'd have to hear the tape for sure, but in my mind, no, I don't think that's accurate
From
either.
what I've heard throughout the season and what I saw in the lot, there's no way Phantom was cleaner than Crossman on the move or standing still.
No.
Yeah, it's just, but you never know. Judges can like not get on the field for a little while, and they happen to come out right when the one dude happens to have their one tick of the run. So it's like, oh well, they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all hit or miss on when they can get out there or when they choose to get out there to get right in front of them, and like you can nail an entire phrase, and then right as the judge comes out, somebody just happens to tick an attack on something, and then they just assume. Because they didn't hear the whole phrase before it, they could potentially assume, oh, well, they must have been doing that the whole time. I just wasn't out here. So it can be unfortunate in that regard, but I have a large sample of Crossman, Blue Stars, and Phantom across the last 2 or 3 weeks, and Crossman was definitely cleaner than Phantom and Blue Stars.
And they just
not
had
as hard.
They just had a better blend too. Like
Yeah.
watching them warm up, really enjoyed Crossman's vibe or their like ensemble balance.
Mm-hmm.
Just wish they could play. They had a little bit harder notes, but
maybe
I'll
next
take
year.
the clean.
Maybe next year.
I'll take the clean.
Um,
Which then we didn't. Blue Stars were above them, which we didn't really watch much of Blue Stars to be
not
honest.
a whole lot.
Uh,
Just the way things worked out and who we needed to go see and where we needed to be at certain times.
a lot of times and performance times and sticking around to try to catch more of one group and just you got to make sacrifices.
Yep.
But I can't really speak too much on Blue Stars other than the fact that
That's probably around the placement.
Their
From what I'd
show-
seen earlier in the season, that's probably around the placement that I would have pegged them to finish at the end.
Yeah.
10th place, 9th, 10th, 11th,
their
somewhere
show
in there.
was just weird.
And the weird part about the show was the music. I liked the music, and the
I
drill
liked
was
everything
cool.
they were doing musically.
Just the show concept was dumb.
Yeah, I was like, this is weird. It's about wood. The now and present or future carpenter or something. I was like, sweet.
They have a
You
bunch of they had like 4 tarps across the field, and
dude, everybody had tarps.
that's
Oh
so
my
stupid.
gosh.
So dumb, because not only did I see a little video clip of a trumpet player in the Blue Stars tripping over a tarp, marching backwards, he was a ninja and like did a backwards roll right back up onto his feet and got right back in, which was super cool to see someone do. But the tarp should never have been there in the frickin' first place for him to trip over anyway.
And then apparently Cavaliers bass 5 fell.
His
Finals night.
bass 5.
That's what I. That's
One
what
of the bass drummers.
One of the bass drummers fell. Finals night, tripped over
a tarp. I would be so mad as a performer if I fell on finals night because we chose to have stupid tarps over the football field.
There was a lot of tarps.
I
think most people had tarps.
I know we're a broken record on this. Drum corps needs to stop trying to be WGI.
Well, in the Cavaliers instance, at least their tarps were like, I guess, functional or like thematic or used well with the show. Like the Blue Stars, they just sat there and they were pictures
like a
of
frame.
It's like a picture of a piece of wood with wood sitting on it. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me.
And then they had them taped down with that neon green tape too that like stuck.
Yeah. At least try and get
somebody else commented. I was like, who got that tape? Somebody in the admin messed up there.
Some intern
bought the wrong color tape.
Some intern came back and got a scolding for that one.
Lime green tape on the field.
Jeez. So when Blue Stars, then Phantom, right?
Yeah.
So. All right, Phantom is one I want to talk. I was super scared for a minute when I saw Phantom on semifinals day before we went inside, because Phantom's baseline, just like last year, I'll preface with this first. Their baseline was
by far the best section of the battery,
and was by the standards of all of DCI Division 1 baselines was very, very good. One of the better ones, I think. Their quad line was above average, I thought. Well, when they had only 5 of them.
Yeah, when there's only 5 of them playing.
5 of them. Their quad line was solid. But we walked up, and they're playing some book chunks and stuff on semifinals day. And it was probably the worst thing I've ever heard a Division 1 snare line, or a world-class top 12 snare line play on
Somebody was
day.
having a rough warm-up.
It was more than one person. Like, it was... I don't even know.
We basically went back finals day to give them redemption,
and it was way better.
Yeah, it was way.
That's where I'm going with this.
Way.
And
better.
I was like,
shoo.
Thank God. They were just I
don't know, man. They were just not vibing.
Sometimes you can have one person in the snare line or whatever section you're in just blowing up at some point or another.
We did have somebody blow up in our semifinals lot in 09 a couple times. So I was like,
I mean, but this was more. This wasn't even like, oh, they're just ticking some attacks or overplaying some rolls. Like, it was...
Stuff was out.
As a 9-person snare line, whole phrases where multiple people were not playing with each other.
Yeah.
Or even close to it. Like, it was...
And I wouldn't even say it was where we were standing because I was walking around.
Yeah, we walked around all in front of them to see if it was an angle thing.
And they had those weird... like, there's a few groups that are using those new Remo heads. They're like batter... I don't know what they are. Like batter, soft, but they sound like super muted. A couple groups had them sounding pretty decent, but... I didn't care for Phantom snare drum tuning. I was like, this is very low and boxy and wet. And I was just like...
So, needless to say, though, we're not sitting here just, like, crapping on Phantom snare line because they redeemed themselves.
They played well.
Finals day.
A lot.
Like,
yeah.
We came back and like, all right, we have to give this another shot.
Which, if you're going to pick between the two, all right.
If I'm going to
definitely going to go out high.
If I'm going to blow up on semis or finals, I'm going to choose to do it on semis. But... Thank God, because I felt so much better for those 9 kids.
Yeah.
After I was like,
just
all right,
for the whole battery.
All right, that was a fluke yesterday. That's not indicative of what they were.
Yeah.
They're much, much better than that.
And they were much better than they were last year. Taking finals lot and throwing out semis, I would say that their drum line in general was better than they were last year.
I would agree with that. It was a cleaner line than last season's.
Although they're tuning, gosh, get rid of those heads, please.
But so
stick with the white max, black max,
yeah,
if you're Remo.
Even saying they had a much better finals warm up, and I'm assuming probably better finals run. Bottom 4, probably in the top 12 is probably where I would. I would
have Blue Stars and Crossman ahead of them.
Probably.
I probably would have had them ahead of Mandarins. Mandarins ticked.
Yeah.
But Phantom had a hard.
I think I would have had Phantom in 11th, and then have Blue Stars in 10th, and then Crossman in 9th.
Next up from Phantom Regiment would be the old BK.
So this is where it gets crazy.
Dude.
Blue Knights were phenomenal.
Yeah. This is like...
And they're in 9th place. And
8th.
It's not necessarily... 8th. And that's not necessarily a testament to judges messing up, I think, there were that many really, really good groups.
They might have been the cleanest drumline I heard in
the lot
top
yesterday.
to bottom in the lot.
Maybe.
Just the fewest ticks.
Yeah, we watched their warm-up exercises and the first handful of book chunks before we moved on and went and watched cadets, but
they play triplet rolls that make me want to take a nap.
Yes.
It feels so good.
Yeah, they start from literally nothing.
The crescendos.
And the crescendo is perfect and the blend is perfect and then it gets so high, all the way up to their eyeballs.
It makes me smile just thinking about it.
And it was the fact that they're in 9th place is a testament to
8th. Stop saying 9th.
I'm saying 9th because they went on. That was the first group we saw
inside. Their core was,
9th. That's why I keep saying 9th. But it's a testament, the standard is going up. It used to be you'd have 3 or 4 really solid groups at the end.
Blue Stars this year, or Blue Knights this year, would have been a top 3 or 4 drumline when I marched.
Yeah, easily. Easily. Same one. I mean, I was marching this roughly the same time you were. So, yeah, I mean, it would have easily been a top 3 or 4 percussion section, and they finished 8th.
Yeah, dude, that's nuts.
Yeah, they deserve all the credit in the world. That the drum they make Mapex drums sound better than anybody else.
They make them sound better, but let's not get rid of them. I thought they were gonna go Yamaha this year because Broken City and that whole connection or whatever.
Well, Broken City was Tama because Roger Carter's a Tama.
I'm pretty sure
guy.
they were Yamaha this year though.
Maybe
I have to double check that.
You're
I'm almost.
right.
I'm fairly
you
certain.
pay attention to that stuff more than I do.
I'm fairly certain that Broken City used
you.
Yamaha. But anyway,
so Blue Knights were great.
Cadets were 7th. Dude, Cadets show, man.
That's my favorite show.
Loved it.
That was my favorite show.
Absolutely loved it. Dude, they just come out the gate, run and gun. It's just the whole show, the whole core, watching inside. That was probably my favorite show of final or semifinals night, just watching them run and gun the field.
Their show is my favorite show of the entire summer.
Run their balls off, playing, just throwing down. It's just so much energy.
We were 4 minutes into their show, and I don't think the battery had taken a step size smaller than 8 to 5.
Dude, they just
at
ran.
any point.
Awesome.
They didn't stop. And if it was a hold, it was a 5-6 count hold.
Somebody sitting around is no skinny people in that core. I was
right?
Or no fat people in that core.
Yeah.
I was yep, no way.
Good Lord.
And then they played the whole Singer Suite, throwback to 93. It was just so nostalgic because I started to get in, when I started getting a drum corps, those early 90s, mid 90s, and then early 2000s cadets were just the videos that I watched.
Oh, yeah.
It was just running and just playing. And
they
played well.
Really well. They're one of the groups that I thought might have been better on the move than they were standing still.
Might have,
because
dude.
we had friends.
Energy calmed them down.
Yeah, we had friends that were in the lot still on semifinals, and we were inside watching. And they messaged us, said, "Dude, the cadets are giving up a lot of little stuff right now."
Yeah.
And they got on the field, and it was phenomenal.
The energy required to play their book on the move and the energy required to play it standing still is
totally different,
night and day.
Yeah,
so I could see some of that, just used to running and gunning, and going all out, and then when you're in the lot trying to hold back almost.
Yeah, so you don't overplay or rush or whatever.
Yeah, but I love that show.
I liked the book. The writing was great.
I'm so glad. And the Zebra Cake Band shirt.
The Zebra Cake Band
hilarious.
Zebra Cake donated a bunch of Zebra Cakes to them finals day.
Did they?
There was a video on
That's
Instagram
hilarious.
of all of the kids getting Zebra Cakes from the box at lunch.
There's that ongoing joke about the uniforms looking like Zebra Cakes, and they just owned it and they rocked it. And on some of the cadet shirts, they had it printed hashtag Zebra Cake Band. I was like, yes.
Yep.
I love when that stuff happens. Just take it and run with it. It's fun.
Great. So they cadets were 7th?
7th. Which is wild.
I think they should have been a little higher, but again, it could be front ensemble related. BK being in 8th could have been potentially front ensemble related. I really don't know.
Yeah, because next up from cadets was Cavaliers, and
I thought the
Cavaliers pit was great.
That's true.
And they had that Xylo moment, which is probably one of my favorite moments.
The quad Xylo thing?
Yeah, where the quads and the marimba players strap on the Xylos. Dude, that stuff's cool.
Yeah. It's a throwback to the...
They had one of my favorite snare tunings, I would say, of the evening from the lot. It was just very crispy. They ticked more in person than I thought they would.
I agree. There was a lot of rolls that were
but it's very exposed
and not locked in.
Tuning was very exposed, and when they were in, they had a really good battery blend.
When it hit, it sounded great. It just didn't hit as much as I expected it to from what I'd seen earlier throughout the season.
Yeah. Man, we're powering through these Cavaliers. Yeah, I liked it, loved it. Ticked a little more in person than what I heard in videos, but they're still really good. 6th place, that's nuts. Their front is always great, and
Did
they
Blue
were
Coats
great.
end up in 5th?
Bluecoats ended up in 5th.
I think they got 4th finals night, though.
Yeah, they were... No, I'm looking at finals night.
Oh, you're not looking at the average?
No.
Of the 3 nights? Okay.
No, I'm looking at finals night. I don't know what the averages were, except out of the top 3.
Okay, whatever.
I don't know how those other groups ended up.
So, yeah, I think 5th is right where the Bluecoats should have been. They ended up being much, much better. They were better this year at the end of the season than last year, for sure.
Yeah.
They ended up... They got a lot better, I feel like, in the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yes.
From Atlanta onward, they kind of things...
Dude, that crazy thing, we were like, semifinals night, we were like, did they lose a snare drummer? We were watching them.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, yeah, like a speaker fell on him. And then like this other thing happened and he like tripped over a saber. And then this happened. And
he had a combination of like 4 unfortunate events happen all in a row within like a day and a half.
A series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. So apparently a speaker fell on, it was a really tall snare drummer.
Yeah.
I did find out, though, luckily he has 2 more summers left. So
that was my first question. I was like, was he age out? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, thank God.
He's got 2 more summers left to March, so he's young. But a speaker fell on him, and I think Tom Rarick is who we got the scoop from. He goes, the speaker fell on him, which I think wasn't what caused the ending injury, but it like initiated damage to his leg or his knee or whatever it was. So then he did that, and then the next morning he woke up, and walking out of the gym they were sleeping in, he tripped on a saber and fell on his knee. And then what was the third thing that happened? It was something else.
I don't know if it was just something like marching around, like aggravating it or something.
On top of those 2 things, getting hit by the speaker and then tripping and falling on it over a saber and then like just crazy wild,
just like a rare thing,
circumstances.
But they ended up with 8 snares, but they were much better than they were even when we saw them in Kentucky. I still don't like the snare tuning. It's too low. It bleeds into the quad voicing. When they play low rolls, like at the edge, and the quads are playing on the Spock, it's like almost the exact same timbre and voice. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, need to be a little higher.
There just needs to be more separation. You don't get like the happy marriage of high, middle, low with the bass drums.
Agreed.
So,
but yeah, as an alumni, I was very happy to see that they really got a ton better, and they weren't bad by any means all season. But they definitely improved a lot. So I was pretty happy. They were very much cleaner.
Yeah, and we were talking to some like caption heads and people that work on other staffs and stuff. And of course, everybody wants to always finish higher. But at the same time, they were like, yeah, like, man, we look at the recaps. We're like, oh, man, we're in X place. But then you like look at the people above you and you're like, oh, they're good. Oh, yeah, they're really good too. And so you're just like, man, it's tight.
It was cutthroat this year.
It's cutthroat, man. Competition was fierce.
So then after Bluecoats, it was...
Boston.
See, I haven't been on the Boston hype train ever since they've like had that turnaround as an entire core. They're definitely very good. I don't like. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The snare drum tuning is way too choked off, way too dry. The top heads have to feel like playing on a table.
They sound like they feel terrible to play on.
Correct.
Like the top heads are high. They play the lowest rolls, though.
That is true.
They get like, down there.
Their 3-inch roll is
true.
Might be lower.
It might be lower, dude. They were in there. Those low fast rolls just.
It's very good.
So that was very cool. They, I feel like, played better in the lot than they did
on the move.
On the move,
yes, 100%.
The stuff that they played in the show in semifinals that you see the videos of on YouTube, the Marimba Spiritual, jiggity dum, jiggity dum, jiggity dum, dum, that stuff was nails. But they're also standing still for that.
Yeah.
There's some stuff in some of their harder drill moments that you could hear. I was like,
they had hard drill too, though.
That was questionable.
They were running, that battery was running a lot too.
Yeah.
But what I would give the cadets more credit for, I think the cadets played better on the move, handling that demand better than Boston did.
Yeah, for sure.
The cadets handled their difficulty of drill and maintaining a level of clarity much better than I thought Boston did on the move.
Drumline for sure. All the while the pit doesn't move and play, but
obviously.
Yeah. Drumline for sure.
But
Boston was good though, man. Like, thinking back to like what that core was just 2 years ago and what they are 2 years later. It's
even
like,
last year.
Yeah, they weren't even 2 years ago. People were like, "Oh yeah, bottom of top 12, maybe they'll get in."
Place.
Yeah, but now like 5th place, 1 guard. Even though
it did win,
we're strictly like mostly about percussion and stuff, but like, good for them, man.
Yeah, that core has done a complete 180.
Boston Crusaders with the George Zengali Color Guard Award.
Phantom needs to take notes and try and do the same turnaround that Boston's done recently, because Phantom has
spend that money.
Basically, that's basically what it comes down to. Spend the money on designers and the right staff members, and anything's possible. So they got 4th, and then Crown got 3rd, which...
Yeah.
So the top 3 from 3rd to 1st, where Crown was in 3rd.
I think there was a pretty good separation, too, between the top 3 percussion sections. Even though everyone was really good, I think there was a cutoff. Like
those top 3 were definitely
like the top
still
3,
better.
like I wouldn't have been surprised to see them flip-flop around in order. And then 4 through 8 down the Blue Knights.
Any given night.
I wouldn't have been surprised to see them flip around in order. And then like 9 through 12. I think that those are like the tiers in my mind. Even though everyone was much better, it was a great year for percussion. I just feel like that's the separation. 1 through 3, they were kind of in a league of their own, and then 4 through 8, and they were kind of in the mix, flip flopping, and then 9 through 12 in my mind.
And so it went Crown, Blue Devils, Vanguard, and I would have swapped BD and Crown.
This is not the recap that I'm supposed to be looking at, but keep talking.
Oh, whatever.
Sorry.
I would have Vanguard winning. I think they were as a complete package. I think Vanguard had the best overall percussion package. However, I think other groups had subsections that were potentially better than some of Vanguard's subsections of the percussion section. I think Vanguard had the best pit. Is that a fair statement? I think Vanguard had their front ensemble was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think they had the best front ensemble this summer for sure.
I don't think that's a question.
I think they had, they might have had the best quad line. I didn't see a whole lot of BD's quad line, but I wasn't super, super impressed with anyone else's quad lines, really.
Crown's quad line was super clean.
Super clean, but I think...
But Vanguard's quad line played...
It's
hard to compare.
Clean.
They played way more notes.
Correct.
I'll say that.
Way more notes.
That doesn't necessarily mean it was harder, but they did play a lot more.
I don't think Vanguard's snare line was the best snare line this year.
No.
I would put like...
I would put Crown
I'd
and
put
maybe
Crown,
BD over the...
BD. I would even put Cadets in that conversation for one of the top 3 or 4 snare lines.
I think Cadets take too much. In the lot, Cadets take too much for my taste.
Maybe. So that's fair. But I don't think Vanguard had the best snare line. I don't think they had the best... I think Cadets had the best bass line.
Cadets bass line was nasty.
Cadets bass line was stupid good.
Blue Coast bass line was really good too.
Blue Coast was also
They
didn't expose them.
I lost them.
I didn't notice them that much.
Yeah, I would be like, you watch their bass warm-ups and like, these dudes are playing
phenomenal.
Sick stuff. But then like in the show beats, it got lost.
Yep.
And well, part of that was also voicing too. Like
yeah.
But anyway.
So Vanguard definitely didn't have the best bass line. I think they had the best pit and quad line. And I think it's arguable or debatable. They were in the top 3 of snare lines, but I don't think they had the best one.
No, I don't think so either. So Crown was 3rd. Crown's drum line played with a quality of sound, approach, and balance.
Level of uniformity.
Like, not even balance section to section, but just balance player to player. Snare drummer to snare drummer to snare drummer to quad drummer to quad drummer to bass drummer. Just everybody was hitting the drum the same way. And it was just, it hit you in the chest. Just watching them play their triplet rolls exercise, I was just like, this feels
It was on a different
amazing.
level than any other triplet roll
No one
exercise.
else played with that quality of sound. Or
And
even close.
we said BK had phenomenal triplet rolls, and they did, but it was a different kind of sound. BK plays with more of that finesse, lighter touch on their rolls.
Yeah.
Crown digs into the drum.
But it was still open.
Exactly. It wasn't a choked off, harsh, poundy kind of sound.
Yeah.
Their hands still were relaxed. They just had so much velocity behind each stroke, and it was a different kind of quality.
Yeah.
And which one you like more is up to personal preference. I prefer Crown's quality of rolls and just in general sound quality. I enjoy listening to both schools of thought, but if I had to pick which one I would rather play like or teach, I would pick Crown. And I think the fact that Crown was one of the cleanest, if not the cleanest on any given night, drumline, speaks to the utility of that approach. Yeah. You're placing every note. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not dropping anything in. There's no finessing anything or there's no feather tapping going on. Like, each member is placing the notes. Like, they're feeling the exact rhythm they're playing, and they're playing them exactly.
We used this example. Like, we were walking around, and we left their lot, and I was like, man, I feel like if I asked any individual in their battery to play the show by themselves,
it would sound good.
It would all sound good. And
it would sound
almost the exact same person to person.
Because to achieve that level of quality with the way they play, that has to be the case.
Yeah.
It can't be any other way.
Nobody's hiding.
Whereas on the flip side, the way Rennick does things, at least as an outside observer, it seems this way. You can look at his snare lines, and the people on the outside are not hitting the drum with the same velocity as the people on the center 5 or center 4.
Definitely not contributing the same sound.
No, not at all.
No.
Their heights might be equal, but
sometimes.
All right, well, whatever. But, and I don't know, something we talked about with Vanguard was at some points in their lot yesterday, we were standing within 5 to 10 feet of them, and you could hear like tick, 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 little scratchy stuff. Little scratchy stuff.
Balance things.
But I think the way they have the drums tuned, the way that tier system that I think they use is, somebody comment and correct me if you marched Vanguard or marched under Rennick and you know this is not the case. Correct us. But when you stood 30 feet away, and I tested this, I stood up in front of them.
We moved around a lot.
And you could point out tiny little scratchy things that would pop out on the beginnings of phrases or exiting a buzz roll or whatever.
Somebody crescendoing out of a roll or not decrescendoing, finishing a roll.
But if you went and walked 20 to 30 feet away, it sounded great.
Yeah.
None of that stuck out. You couldn't tell any of that was there. And honestly, something that was a big difference, standing 30 feet away from Crown snare line, it's a wall of snare sound coming at you. Because all 9 of them
wall of sound, man,
are hitting the drum the same way. Dude. Whereas with Vanguard, the sound became more centralized towards the center of that snare line the farther you got away.
Yeah.
And
they're great.
I don't take this as me saying they weren't one of the best snare lines this summer.
They deserve to win.
Yes,
the percussion
because
trophy.
they were. But if Evan said a second ago, if you had any of Crown's snare drummers play their book by themselves, it was probably going to sound pretty dang good. I don't believe that if I had the center snare for Vanguard play their opener or this 16-bar phrase of part of their show by himself, and then I asked the dude on the end to do it, that it would sound the same.
No.
I don't believe it.
I absolutely would argue that is 100% not the case. That it wouldn't sound the same.
I will admit
I would be like, prove it. If somebody argue with me, I'd be like, prove it.
I don't believe they can't play it rhythmically correct and accurately with the right heights, but in terms of the sound produced by the way they're hitting the drum, I do not believe until somebody proves it to me by having the center and then an end player take turns and have it sound the same. I don't believe it would sound the same.
Yeah, but before we backtrack, obviously it works.
Yes, clearly they sound great.
Three-peat tonight, three-peat this weekend.
I mean, 3 drum trophies in a row speak for itself, which I want to talk about their dominance here in a minute since we've gotten through the recap now. But
we didn't. BD, we kind of glossed over them. I was surprised that they were better than I thought they were going to be.
Correct. I came in not expecting much from what I'd seen on the internet and on the streams so far, and they're not exposed a whole lot in their show, so just watching the flow streams
they don't play
of the regionals,
a whole lot. But when they do play, it is difficult.
Yes, their book was hard.
Probably too hard.
Maybe.
Yeah, some of those things is like not consistent because it's so hard. It's like you'd have a rep where it sounds good, and then have a rep where it's like,
BD didn't do anything that makes them stand out and make me want to talk about them.
Yeah, other than the fact that on semifinals night, I couldn't hear their drumline at all because those System Blue drums do not resonate and do not project. I mean, they're still trying to figure those things out. And they're still making a lot of modifications to them, but
I don't doubt one summer they're going to come out, or one winter RCC is going to come out, and those drums are going to sound glorious.
I feel like in the winter it doesn't matter though, because like you don't have to project as much. You're so up close and personal.
Well,
in the
one
gym.
summer BD is going to come out when they made the right tweaks to those things.
Yeah,
and they're going to sound way better.
Well, they're just going to end up adding more wood to them because they start out like completely carbon fiber or carbon ply or whatever, and they're like, oh, we'll add a little bit more wood. Now add a little bit more wood. Now add a little bit more wood, which defeats the purpose because that makes them heavier.
Yeah,
but the wood is where it's at. You just gotta have some. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just
good wood.
I would have had BD in third, Crown in second, because like I said, Vanguard and Crown make me want to talk about them.
Yeah.
They make me want to watch videos of them. They make me want to see them. BD, we walked over to their lot,
watched them for a little bit,
heard some show chunks, the end of their exercises, and we kind of looked at each other and was just like, all right, I've heard enough. Like, they're not doing anything.
It's very
that makes
BD.
Yeah, it's just BD. They're there. They're consistent. They're always in the conversation. Just they didn't do anything to make themselves be the talk of finals weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I think, did we cover... That was a pretty quick little rundown.
Pretty quick, but
not really. It's been 35 minutes.
Well, yeah, all right.
But, so I want to talk about Vanguard's continued dominance before we close this sucker out. So, like we said, they've won a drum trophy the last 3 years. 16, 17, 18. Who won in 15? BD?
Maybe?
Because Vanguard won in 14, too.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
So four out of the last 5 summers, a Rennick line has won a drum trophy. And to me, it just screams consistency. And not just in the approach of how they do things, in staff, in the writing, in the members, the process they go throughout the summer to teach and learn and clean. It's got to be a science at this point. And if you look at other cores, and I mean, you can look at the consistency factor when you look at BD. They've had the same staff doing it the same way in percussion land for so many years. They're always in the top 3 every single summer.
And that's kind of, too, why you've seen an increase, too, in, like, Crown. Like, 15, 16, 17, 18, they've had
consistency of writing, staff, techs, and even if the techs, because techs shuffle around a lot every summer. People get busy, they get other jobs, But the techs, like, Rennick probably has different techs every few years, but they're all his kids.
They come through his system. They know the mold.
They know how the process works. They know how he wants people to drum to play his book well. He knows they know how to do it. Whereas other groups have a new caption head every freaking 3 years, and guys are shuffling around, and you just can't build that level of consistency. And until other groups can maintain a consistent staff, whether it takes more money, whether it just takes the stars aligning, I don't know. Vanguard is going to continue to dominate. Or wherever Rennick is going to continue to dominate.
They have a system, and it works, and they just cycle through, and he has kids that go to UNT and this and that, and they have, like, the troopers now, where half of his staff works at the troopers, and they have the Vanguard cadets, where some of their staff probably works at the Vanguard cadets. They have, like, 2 feeder corps
plus UNT, which is basically the feeder program for whatever drum corps he's at. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. I mean, if you go back as far as the last 10 years, how many drum trophies has Rennick won since 2010?
Let's go back 12.
More than that.
Because that was the first one. The 06 was the first one.
So 06.
BD in 07.
So we have won.
Then
08, they won.
They won. 2010, they won. Then 14, 16, 17, 18.
And that 3 years where he didn't win was the transition from Phantom to Vanguard to really get everything up and running again the way he wanted it.
Yep.
So
Cavaliers won in 11. Blue Devils won in 12. Cadets won in 13.
Cadets won drums in 13?
Yeah, dude, they were nasty.
I don't remember. I need to watch a video.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Cadets from 13.
They did that Medea remake.
Yeah.
Zoom.
You're right. They were phenomenal.
Buzz drags.
Yeah, you remember that now.
Playing
all right,
rim shots.
So you got
snare
6,
rolls to their eyeballs.
You got 6, 8, 10, 15,
14,
16, 17, 18. 7 out of the last 12 years.
Oh, batting over 50%.
Like, that is
over
insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, man. That's like...
And I don't see it ending anytime soon.
Yeah, they're like now, I think...
Because him and his wife...
They're in the leaderboard for most drum trophies. Well, Vanguard is now in the leader for most drum trophies in DCI history. But Rennick has like...
a lot of those.
4 of those now.
It's...
4 of the 14.
It's crazy. And now, again, BD's has the consistency. Crown... Where'd Crown finish in drums last summer? 3rd? 4th?
4th, I think.
So, Crown has got some level of consistency now. You're going to see them in that top conversation in the top 3 or 4 groups every summer.
They'll start biting at the doors.
Yeah, and they're going to win a drum trophy soon. I guarantee it. Within the next couple of years, Crown will win a drum trophy.
I hope so.
Right? It's just... And then you see groups like... Who do we think we're going to see staff changes at? Speaking of non-consistency.
Staff changes. I mean, I think we'll definitely... Madison.
I think Madison might have a change.
I think Madison is going to have like a change of core. They're going to like relabel themselves almost.
Maybe.
I'm predicting that they go co-ed.
It wouldn't surprise me if you saw changes.
They were already doing like surveys at the beginning of the year or something about like, how do you feel if we were to go co-ed? I'm like, sweet, great, do it. You guys need to draw as much talent as you can, and
I think you could see some stuff happen at Phantom, even if it's not from a caption head standpoint.
Yeah, I think for like tech staff and maybe some of the caption, their ranger, I don't think will change. I think Rob will stay there.
Yeah. Is
But
Rob
maybe,
not the caption head? Is he just the arranger?
Well, caption, I don't know what everybody labels it or what they call it, or what their roles or what their duties are, but I think Derek Shannon may be the caption head.
I don't even know who that is.
But I'm not 100% on that. So,
speaking of Phantom, I want to point this out. I saw the most miserable looking thing I've ever seen. Phantom was leaving the lot finals day. And you know how the snare drums all put on quads?
Yeah.
So they're leaving the lot in a line back to their buses to go over to the stadium. They're all so to and from every lot all season. They had to wear the quads and carry their snare drum in their arms.
I'd be like, can we get a golf cart for these? This is miserable.
Yeah, can we just pull a cart behind us with all the quads on it? I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, man, that sucks.
I would have been a little salty if I'd made the snare line and they were like, hey, you also have to carry quads around all summer too for like a 45 seconds period of the show. But that means you have to carry them to and from every rehearsal and every lot and every stadium.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun.
I was watching them walk out and I was like, they have to be really happy this is the last time they ever have to haul all that gear around to and from a warm-up.
Oh, my God.
It just looked awful. Something I would never want to do.
But, yeah, man. Another DCI Finals come and gone.
It was a good, fun weekend. I'm exhausted. And I need to...
Now it's high school band time.
Right? Band camp season's over. Now we get
high
to...
school band.
Jeez.
Oh, man. Well...
I don't have anything else. We kind of...
Yeah, we kind of ripped through it.
Busted through all that, and...
I don't know what's next. Marching band, WGI. Yeah. WGI auditions right around the corner.
Jeez.
Some people start auditions in August. Some people start in like August and September.
Not August. There's no way.
Some people.
There's no group that has an audition for an independent group in August.
I bet somebody does. For sure, September.
Comment on the video if you know a group that has auditions for an independent group. Scholastic groups might get started.
Nah, they'll hold up till marching band's over, probably.
I mean, okay, whatever.
But anyway, independent group. Any independent group.
I
bet somebody is in
anybody
August.
September for sure. Most groups do it by the end of September. They've had their first audition.
Yeah.
Which I think is ridiculous. But that season's already long enough.
Yeah. But
I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, man. Well, that's all I got.
Yeah, me too. So, again, follow us on Podbean if you use it already. If you don't and don't want to watch on YouTube anymore, it's a very small app you can download on your smartphone.
I don't think you have to sign up even.
No, I'd like you to so you could follow it. Give us the follow on there.
Yeah, but
if you don't want to sign up to listen, you don't have to. It's a way to listen not on YouTube.
Until we get the iTunes
And then
rolling.
hopefully within the next few weeks, I'll get the bugs worked out with the iTunes podcast submission, and we can get that up there too. So that'll be an option. And in the meantime, keep telling your friends. Give us feedback in the comments or email us at agedoutpodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, and we will be back in a couple weeks.
Peace.